Welcome everyone to the next lecture of Osha Training Online. Today our topic is bloodborne pathogens. The lecture outlines are the following: what is bloodborne pathogens, what are its causes, and the prevention plan. So first we need to know about bloodborne pathogens. Bloodborne pathogens are the pathogenic microorganisms such as virus, bacteria, and certain kinds of parasites present in the workplace. During the work environment, certain kind of diseases may occur from different kind of pathogens. So what are pathogens? They are microorganisms such as virus, bacteria, and parasites. Actually, they may get in the human blood or organ through certain means, which we will discuss in this lecture. During the job, certain kind of bloodborne diseases may occur. While the workers are working with certain kind of materials and exposed to different kind of substances, different kind of bloodborne pathogens may occur from virus, bacteria, and parasites. The most common amongst them are HBV and HIV. HBV stands for hepatitis B virus and HIV stands for human immunodeficiency virus. You may have heard of these kind of diseases which are really common among human. These diseases are common amongst normal people, but those who are working with certain kind of chemicals and materials, these kind of diseases are really common in the work environment. Now, the point is, what are some of the causes of bloodborne pathogens? So, it may be transmitted through a contact with an infected person. This is the first reason. If a person is already infected and you come in contact with that person, then you may get it. The second case is during the providence of first aid in the workplace to an affected individual. If an affected individual already possesses this kind of disease while providing first aid, a person or a first aider may get it. Working with the blood samples in the lab. A lab technician or a person who is working with in the lab and using blood samples from the infected person or material, the person may also get it if not opted for specific precautions. Now, the way through which it might enter the human blood are the following. It may transfer in the human through needles, scalpels, broken glasses, touching contaminated objects with fingers, mouth, etc. There might be the work environment where we will have the need of using needles, broken glasses, scalpels, and the worker may also get in contact with the contaminated objects by touching them with fingers, mouth, etc. So these are the causes which really need actions or precautions in order to avoid them. Now, the question is how the infected blood may enter from one person to another. If there is infected blood, then there are ways through which it may enter in another person or worker body through cuts, through abrasions, and broken skins. These are the three ways. If there is a cuts, abrasion, there is scratches, and broken skin. So these are the sources of transferring infected blood from one person to another. Now we have to minimize or reduce the risk of bloodborne pathogens. So we have basically five methods in order to avoid or minimize the risk of bloodborne pathogens. The first one is working procedures. We have to adopt certain kind of working procedures so that to minimize the risk of bloodborne pathogens. The second one is using personal protective equipments. The third and the most important amongst all of them is engineering controls, and it is the most effective one. The fourth one is housekeeping, and lastly, the employer or the company would have to provide HBV vaccination or hepatitis B vaccination. So let's discuss each of them. In the working procedure, always care that do not break or bend needles with hands. The worker who need certain kind of needles while if he's providing first aid or any other kind of usage, so don't break or bend needles with hand. Exposure or the exposed place from infected materials should be washed early. If there is a place which is exposed to infected materials, then those places must be washed or cleaned up early. Avoid eating, drinking, using cosmetics where there might be exposure to infected material. In the place where there is exposure to infected material, try to not eat, drink, using cosmetics such as different kind of creams. Avoid all these activities. Lastly, in the working procedure, do not store food in the place where infected material is present. It may contaminate the food and in turn may be hazardous for the workers or people working in the industry. The second resort is personal protective equipment or PPE. Use gloves, mask, eye protection in the place where there is exposure to hazardous material. Housekeeping is also really important. Keeping the work area clean is called housekeeping. If the workers are working in the certain area, the area should have to be cleaned, so it is called housekeeping. Next is HBV or hepatitis B vaccination. Employer has a duty to provide hepatitis B vaccination in the work environment in which there is the exposure to hepatitis B. If there are chances of acquiring hepatitis B in the environment, if let's suppose the workers are working with certain kind of chemicals and materials which may produce hepatitis B virus, in that case the employer should have to provide vaccination of hepatitis B, which is really effective in the current time to the worker. And lastly, and the most important one is engineering controls. So what are the steps which the employer have to take in the engineering controls are the following. Self-sheeting needles have to be provided. The employer should have to provide needles which are self-sheeted, which means that needles which are covered or the needles which have the outer coating or sheeting so that the needles could not get in contact with the worker body. Disposables containers, there must be a proper plan in order to dispose certain kind of materials through disposal containers. And lastly, the biological proven safety hoods. What is safety hoods? They are certain kind of devices or materials used in the work environment in order to protect the worker from certain kind of bloodborne pathogens. So safety hoods are different kind of proven devices which are used in order to protect the worker. So guys, this was about bloodborne pathogens. If you have any question, then ask me in the comment section. I hope that it would help you. I'll try to respond in the comment section. Thanks, take care, and bye.